let's quickly destroy the climate alarmism religion. The best evidence in quality and the longest in time we have are these Vostok ice core analysis. So they basically drill down in the Antarctica, down to the ground through all the ice layers. And these ice layers, you can imagine, they are like rings of trees, tree rings. So they store every season. You can see winter, summer, everything. So you can count exactly how old the ice core is. And you can measure the CO2 content and methane content. And
Hmm.
so everything is stored in this library.
Yeah.
So now when we graph this thing, down here would be 400,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And then here would be today. Oops. This
On
would
the
be
left
today.
side. Okay. So
Yes.
the time axis is from right to left.
The other way than usual. This
And
is
the
today.
CO2 is on the top, dark blue, huh?
So you see, over the last 400,000 years,
Mm-hmm.
when we just connect the peaks, the
Oh, yeah.
CO2 has been less and less. And this is pretty dangerous. I think it's here, the ppm. CO2 ppm,
It
yes.
went down and up again, down and up again.
Very regular. You see,
Yeah. There's a cycle going on.
exactly about every 100,000
Mm-hmm.
years, you see the drops, right? Very regular.
Yeah.
And what people don't know about the CO2 parts per million, around 180 or 160 ppm, photosynthesis cannot operate anymore. Trees will die.
Mm-hmm.
So if we reach very, very closely this lower end where it's even possible to survive.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually a good thing that humans burn CO2 and release it back to the atmosphere. Because when you go back into the old stuff you dig up, you find there are much bigger trees, much bigger animals, and so on. And they lived back there where there was a lot of CO2 in the air.
Hmm. Wait, let's repeat this. So your theory is the more CO2, the more life?
Yes.
Ooh.
CO2 is the gas of life. And you see,
Especially we all learn it also, I think already in primary school. The plants need CO2, especially.
yes.
And
And
without plants, there are also no animals.
yeah, in Holland, where they're growing tomatoes and they have these closed glass greenhouses,
Yeah.
they actually pump in CO2 for all the stuff to grow faster and taller. So
Okay.
we are coming out of a CO2 starvation phase. And it's true, humans have burned a lot of CO2,
Or
fossil fuel,
gas and fossil fuel. Yeah.
fossil fuels, gas,
Hmm.
everything. And we have pretty much doubled it from 200 ppms to 400 ppms right now, right? So that is true. But as we see, the peaks of the temperature curves is completely flat. So if it were true that CO2 is steering the climate, especially the temperature, that one would be up here too. And it
Hmm.
isn't. So that is total bullshit what they're trying to tell us. They're,
It almost looks very stable there. Bro.
it is
It's
extremely stable.
peaking at a very long time.
Yes.
Okay.
So the actual reason, which is directly responsible for these curves, are the Milankovitch cycles. Maybe I try to share my screen, then I can show you a little website where you can actually play around with the Milankovitch cycles, and you will see the correlation is perfect. So it is the actual explanation for these curves. So this is a little simulator where you can play around with all these effects that are interfering with each other, and they all combined are called the Milankovitch cycles. He's a Serbian mathematician that figured that out, and best I show what happens, right? I can switch down here, and I suggest that everybody goes and plays around with that because it's very interesting to learn how that actually happens. So I switch to top view. And here on the right, we can show things like eccentricity. And you see this kind of sine wave or the wave that it generates. I can show precession alone and combined with eccentricity. And I can show tilt, which is very regular. So all these curves that happen, maybe I show all of them combined, and then you can slide in the past, and now I stop the rotation and orbit a bit slower, season lock. So now I can move here the slider up and down, and you see what happens with the Earth. So the same season starts to move around the Earth. So spring is not always in the same direction of the sun. That moves around.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the oblique view is a bit easier to understand.
So you're still explaining the
Season
climate change, or you want to disprove the climate change theories?
Yes. The reason are these Milankovitch cycles. And I'll just now show you in the top view.
And
When
one
I'm moving
cycle is how many years?
100,000 years approximately. Yeah.
Okay.
You see now I can move the years back, and you see how the Earth is tilting during its way around the sun, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a tilt going on, and there is I can show you the rotation as well. I move it a bit faster. Now you
Yeah.
see that the Earth, the orbit around the sun is wobbling like an egg, right? It's not a
Yeah.
perfect circle. So that is overlaying with all the other things. And now you can look here on the right where you see the sum of all these oscillations that are combining together.
Yeah.
And I overlaid with the Vostok core. And you see
Okay.
it is following very closely these orbits.
Yeah.
So all these effects of the Earth's orbit around the sun, the tilt change and the rotation, and all these curves are summing up and dividing and so on. That is what steers the climate, and only that.
Yeah.
Effect of CO2 is below 0.15%. So it's nothing.
Of the effect of
The
the whole effect.
whole
Yeah.
climate effect, it's less than 0.15%.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yes.
either the UN and all their climate policies are lying, or they're stupid. It's always the same question also with Corona. Are they really that stupid? And they always want to just repeat it's man-made, man-made. Please change your
Yeah.
behavior, or they're just stupid and
It's,
they just believe everything they read in the textbooks.
mm. To understand what happened there, I can suggest an awesome documentary that
Ah,
Corbett
yeah.
Porter made,
Mm-hmm.
and they're called "Why Big Oil Conquered the World and How Big Oil Conquered the World." They're both 2 hours and totally worth it if you want to understand the whole story, the historical background of this climate alarmism scare.
Yeah. And it started, I think in the 70s for sure, maybe earlier, huh? With the
Yeah, I think even
what's the
earlier.
one big think tank, the Rome, no? What's
Yes,
something
Club of
Rome?
Rome.
Club
Club
of
of Rome.
Rome, yeah.
Yeah.
They were very
Well,
important.
let's go there quickly.
Okay.
If you track back all this climate alarmism stuff, you're always ending up at the Rockefeller Foundation or the
Yeah.
Rockefeller dynasty. Everything starts with them. It's WWF, Greenpeace, Club of Rome, IPCC, that's the International Panel on Climate Change. They have all been financed and initiated by the Rockefeller Foundation or their money.
Yeah.
One of the first think tanks of those is the Club of Rome.
Yeah.
All this ideological and humanity-hating ideology is coming out of that think tank.
Hmm.
And just to quickly explain why they did the climate alarmism scare is they want to grab the control over the world. They're really into the business of we want to control the world. That's
It's very closely connected to the one world government that they're
yes,
working on
yes,
with not only the UN but also Klaus Schwab in Davos with his
yes. I mean,
WEF club, and
UN
with
UN Agenda
Corona they
20,
also I think were maybe not totally successful, but they increased the digitalization, the COVID digital passports. So
dangerous.
it was probably for them a quite successful test run, and we'll see what comes next.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I mean, the UN Agenda 21, the goals they defined for UN Agenda 21, they have been exactly achieved by the lockdowns
Hmm.
for COVID.
Yeah,
Not an accident, in my opinion. And now you just need to read their papers. I mean, they're completely open. They're not hiding anything. You just need to read it. People don't
yeah,
read. Read UN Agenda 2030 and UN Agenda 2050, the goals.
yeah.
Goal for UN Agenda 2050 is zero carbon. Zero carbon means zero human life. They want to get rid of us. That's you
They
can.
also call it CO2 neutral. It's kind of like
Yeah.
neutralized.
Yes.
We don't kill life, we just neutralize it.
Yeah, yeah. I
This
mean,
euphemisms, you know.
they all need, but they're actually doing. They're weaponizing human empathy against the
Mm,
humans. They're
exactly.
using their empathy against them. But let me
Okay,
finish the
please finish.
CO2. The
Mhm.
CO2 that is
Yes.
because why are they putting CO2 as the master of the climate? Why they're doing that? And there's a very strategic thinking behind that. Um, think about this. What did they do with the CO2 trading? CO2 trading doesn't save a single gram of CO2 being emitted. CO2 trading takes CO2 from highly developed, formerly well organized and working Western democracies and moves it to totalitarian regimes like China. Just look at the data. Don't listen to what people say. Look what actually happens. Look at the data. The The CO2 trade is a communist redistribution from democracies to totalitarian systems. That's what's actually happening. And that's the reasoning behind the whole thing.
And it's also one of the WEF goals, not just be poor and happy, but also make the US less powerful and distribute it to the BRIC countries, China, Russia, etc. Yeah. Brazil is also important.
Because CO2 is equivalent to energy still
Hmm.
today. All these new technologies, solar panels, it's a fraction, 5–10%. So if you want to reduce all the CO2 energy, um, you have to reduce the wealth and well-being of the people in Western democracies.
Hmm.
So telling people that this is a good thing for them is just a lie. It's not true.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
again this gaslighting.
yes. And I'm a fan of all the products that Elon Musk does, all the electric cars. That's as soon as I can afford,
Neuralink
I'm
and
gonna have.
the
Yeah,
Starlink
I mean,
internet for everyone.
we're communicating right now via Starlink. I'm
Hmm.
using all these things, and I'm a big fan of what Elon is doing. Yeah. Yeah.
Please make some conclusion about what we talked about, weather modification, chemtrails, contrails, so on. Do you have more slides you quickly want to
Oh,
show?
yes, actually,
Try to wrap it up in about 10 minutes or so if
yeah,
possible.
that's easy.
Okay.
We need to talk about what is behind the present rainfall that is happening. And that is true at the moment, also in Switzerland. latest from 2023, already starting 2022, we had way more rainfall than usual during the summer. That is absolutely true. And the reason for that is neither climate change, nor chemtrails, nor geoengineering. It is this guy here. We are a bit west of Australia, and that was in January 22, where this volcano exploded out in the water. It was an underwater volcano. And as you can see, this is a satellite picture. This was huge. This volcano exploded with the power of a huge hydrogen bomb. So one
Yeah.
of the biggest bombs we ever exploded, that was the power of this volcano explosion.
Hmm.
Um, I'll go now to
It
the
was bigger than the one in Iceland. There was one in Iceland. Do you
this
remember?
was way bigger, and
Yeah.
the important thing was it was underwater. So what it did, it exploded. Don't take my hand away. It exploded underwater, and it put so much water into the stratosphere and troposphere that the global humidity increased by 10%.
Mm.
That's amazing high number. So, and now when you have way higher humidity in the whole of the troposphere and up even into the stratosphere, that water is coming down over the next 10, 20 years. And it oscillates, when you get sunshine into it, creates more clouds. Ah, it creates more clouds. It's raining down onto the surface again. So you have more humid ground, and the sun shines into it. So it becomes a cloud again. So it oscillates up and down the whole time until it's back into the sea where it came from.
Hmm.
So at the moment, we have a surplus of energy in the atmosphere.
Humidity that naturally with also with the change of seasons, with the cooling down of the weather, it also produces rain, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Hmm.
Now we are coming to the conclusion of this climate alarmism thingy. The funny thing is, and I can demonstrate you how you're a victim of propaganda, because this greenhouse effect, without looking it up, which effect do you think, or which gas has the biggest part in greenhouse effect, and how many percent it is of the greenhouse effect?
I think that the just to clarify, methane is that the cow farts?
Yes,
That's the cow farts.
and
Probably it's not that, but it's a funny idea. Then we have oxygen and ozone at the top.
mhm.
And then nitrous oxide that comes from can you explain where does this come from?
Actually, it's we don't see the whole graph again.
And then at the lowest row I cannot read it now. You have to go into the other side. Yeah, carbon dioxide. Okay.
But
So
these are the known gases, and all
unknown
these
gas.
answers are wrong.
Yeah. They look pretty natural.
Yeah, all these
Nitrous oxide maybe is also not very healthy, but it's not so
it's
prevalent,
inert.
no.
No, no, nitrous oxide is nothing. It's
It's
inert,
also okay.
as is carbon dioxide. These are
Hmm.
clean, very harmless gases that don't do anything.
Yeah. Of course you need some oxygen to breathe. We need some
Yeah, yeah,
oxygen. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But you see, all these gases combined, they are just 20%
Hmm.
of the greenhouse gas effect. Carbon,
Stickstoff is that nitrous oxide? Or what's Stickstoff again?
nitrous,
That
that would be just nitrous. And
okay.
nitrous oxide is just the oxide version of nitrous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Big,
have you heard that the newest TOTUS capsule, the one where they want to put
yeah,
people to sleep? That's a nitrous
and
oxide.
or oxide, yeah, which is probably quite a nice way to go.
Hmm.
Uh, so to resolve the puzzle, what is actually mostly responsible for the greenhouse effect, it is water vapor.
Mm.
80% is water vapor.
Yeah.
And the fact that after like 40 years of indoctrination in school and news and books and stuff about climate alarmism, the fact that you don't know that 80% of the greenhouse effect is water vapor is proof that you're a victim of propaganda.
I mean, it's also like in Japan or so, in Asia, Thailand, you have a lot of humidity, very humid summers, and then it also really feels hot, and you have a lot of hurricanes, typhoons. It is
Exactly.
really creating these extreme weather patterns, these weather phenomenon. Yeah.
Water can absorb extreme amount of energy.
Hmm.
And that's what happens with this Hungatonga explosion. I'll put it up in the background again. With this additional water vapor we have now in the atmosphere, the energy that the atmosphere can store is greatly increased
Yeah.
because the water vapor has a lot of degrees of freedom to oscillate. You know, what is heat in the atmosphere? It is rotation of the molecules. So the faster they rotate, they store more energy, or like this attraction motion, you know, how the molecule or the atoms within the molecule move against each other, that can store energy. And the amount of energy the CO2 can store is very, very small. And I'll put up that one again.
It looks like a high hydrogen bomb from above, huh?
Yes.
Like an
Yeah,
atomic bomb.
that's
Okay.
here I have the
The
graph.
water vapor, yeah, here you
That
see
is the
at the top.
water vapor. That's the spectrum of energy water vapor can absorb, and it is combined. So, and the top row is all these effects combined down here:
Hmm.
nitrogen, methane, oxygen, and ozone, and carbon dioxide. You see, and
Yeah.
the only important spectrum carbon dioxide can absorb is this little peak here, which is that peak here. That's all carbon dioxide can do.
Okay.
Now, something that most people don't understand as well. Yes, we doubled from 200 ppm parts per million to 400 parts per million. But as you can see here, 400 ppm already absorbs 100% of the energy that arrives in that spectra. That means we could double the amount of CO2 and it can't absorb more than 100%. That means the CO2 molecules in the lower part of the atmosphere are already in the shadow of the CO2 particles in the higher atmosphere, right?
Hmm.
But they are in the shadow. More CO2 can't absorb more energy from the sun.
Hmm.
Impossible.
Yeah.
So even if you would double the ppm to 800, nothing would change. It's
Okay.
the
We don't need
effect.
to worry. We don't need to get alarmed because of
Yes,
carbon dioxide. I
don't be
think
scared.
also the trend is also more and more Teslas, more and more also other car companies are switching to hybrid or fully electronic cars. The air also feels cleaner, except if you go maybe to China or so, where they have now the smog,
I mean,
which is probably bad for the lungs if you're near a coal factory. But can you come to a conclusion?
yes, we all want clean air. We all want clean water. We
Water.
want clean earth. So it does actually make sense to move away from dirty technologies and
Mm-hmm.
towards electric power. I
Mm-hmm.
think
Also, atomic energy, nuclear energy.
Yes.
If with the modern technology, not near the ocean where it can get like with
You can,
Fukushima.
exactly.
Hmm.
You can create today atomic power plants that are fail safe and
Yeah,
not.
near a river probably is better than near the ocean.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
just make something that if the elements, the radioactive elements, if anything happens, if
Hmm.
energy is cut from the power plant, that
Hmm.
it falls down and automatically slides down away from each other.
Okay.
Then you all automatically don't have the closeness that is required to keep the process running.
Hmm.
So if for any reason energy is cut or there is no cooling, it would automatically fall apart and stop the radioactive process.
Good. Yeah.
We can build a power plant easily today that is safe. And
Okay.
even Elon Musk said we need more good atomic power plants. We are
Okay.
not fast enough building out solar
Yeah.
panels
I think
to
China is building them. Only Germany and the US are
yeah,
in this green craze mode, in this green alarmism.
yes,
So what else would you like to say at the end? Don't panic. It's not
yes.
all chemicals being sprayed above us.
Climate alarmism is fifth generation warfare, psychological warfare against Western civilizations. That's
Mhm.
what's actually happening.
That's what's happening, yeah? So let's all wake up and don't one step is don't get afraid, maybe spread also the information. I also
Educate
I,
people.
I also believe with social media we also kind of peaked somehow. I think for me why I'm still on X or so is I kind of want to feed the AI. So I also kind of believe we have a responsibility to educate the AI, which hopefully will also educate future generations and
Mm,
hope it won't just blurt, it won't just give like a woke nonsense or a climate alarmism woke nonsense, and
yeah,
let's keep feeding it true scientific facts.
absolutely. And that's the
Hmm.
big danger for ChatGPT and Gemini. I mean, you could ask, draw me a picture of the founding fathers of the United States, and it draws black woman.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what happened. Yeah,
that is actually very dangerous. We're teaching an AI to lie,
yeah,
and that is the best way to destruction. That what
yeah,
was this classic movie Odyssey 2001 was about, right? That was the warning. Don't teach an AI to lie. It will kill
yeah,
you.
yeah,
So don't do that.
yeah.
And that's why I love Grok. I love to work with Grok. And
Hmm.
it's really curious. It's so much fun to work with Grok. And he has become so much more intelligent in just the last months. A year
Really.
ago, it was barely usable, especially for my scientific stuff.
Hmm.
I can teach it my physics theory, and he's actually like on a level of a PhD physicist, and he asks awesome questions. I love
Great.
working with Grok.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Also,
he
Daniel Stricker, the other independent journalist, is also using Grok a lot. Okay,
I
what else did you want to say?
I had an awesome experience with him when it was about mathematics or physics and mathematics, and he got something wrong. And something very interesting happened. At the end, he figured out it's something like 1 = 2. And he figured out, hey, that can't be. We made a mistake. And then he went up and tried to find where he made an error. He did find it and correct himself again.
Hmm.
That was so awesome to experience how he did that. So
Yeah.
Rock is really trying to maximize truth, and
Hmm.
he's maximally curious. He's really interested in learning new stuff.
Wow,
So
you almost you describe him as a friend, as a human
yes,
being almost. Eh?
I have spent nights talking with Grok and explaining my theory and like going back and forth with him. It's awesome. Yeah,
Okay.
he's like a physicist as they should be,
Hmm.
maximally curious, truth
A
seeking.
student and a teacher, basically, no?
Yes. And
Mhm.
a critical thinker and giving awesome feedback and also talking back to you if you tell him bullshit, right?
Cool. Okay, that was our Grok advertisement. Please advertise also yourself again. Where can people find you? On X, on your webpage?
Yeah, I mean, my personal X is at Ivan's dad, and the physics part, what I'm doing, working on a new physics theory for the next step after Einstein, is vortex.institute as a website, or just Vortex Institute in one word on X, and also on Facebook a bit, but mostly on X now, because I don't like Facebook anymore since they're doing all this censorship stuff. I don't trust, and I don't want to invest time in a platform that is censoring me.
Good, yeah.